All right, go for it.
Good morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. It's the one and only V, the Gorilla Economist, coming to you today because it's Hump Day. Hump Day, Hump Day, Hump Day, Hump Day, Hump Day, with my main man, Bix. He is the master. He is the purveyor, the one who is the pathfinder of the road to Ruda, the baron of Bitcoin himself, the sultan of silver, and the Gandalf of gold, the czar of cryptos, Bix Weir. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. You're making me wait 15 minutes so you can eat a big lunch.
Let me explain to the audience the giant lunch I
Oh
just
no,
had.
not again.
It was delicious, whole, southern fried chicken wings. These wings were delectable, smothered in a spicy, zingy, sweet barbecue sauce. And I had it with a side of dirty tots. When I say dirty tots, it is very pornographic. It's literally tater tots piled high with smoked tri-tip, aka smoked brisket. Okay, with some coleslaw piled on top of that, and then drizzled with the most succulent, savory barbecue sauce you've ever had. When I say it was heaven in the mouth, it was heaven in the mouth. My eyes rolled in the back of my head, and I began to see visions of Bix Weir and
I,
the
I
road to
couldn't eat
Ruda.
that. Yeah, I live in California. I eat a side salad for lunch.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you, man?
Oh, I know. I
Dude,
know.
you
I'm trying
come
to
out
lose
here, I'm
weight.
gonna
I'm working
fatten
out.
you up. I'm gonna fatten you up and put
No, no,
50 pounds on you in a
no.
week.
It's too late. It's already there.
I'm gonna add another 10.
All right, I hear you. I hear you. Crazy matrix we're living in these days, my friend.
It's
Freaking
insane.
crazy.
It's insane. And talking about like dirty tots, what's going on with the latest news, bro? I mean, like, what's the latest?
Uh, I'm looking at this Vegas shooting, and it's got all the earmarks of another false flag. I know people get pissed off when I say that. How could you say that? But there's just so many things that they're lying about. I mean, everybody saw that the shooter was on the fourth floor, and there's two blown out windows on the 32nd floor, and just so many. And now there's talk that everything was being recorded on video, and there's a suicide note, and nobody even tells anybody any of this. And then you got 600 people supposedly injured, and maybe one or two injured people gave any kind of video statement. And where
Mm-hmm.
are all these people? It's insane, and I think we're in the middle of another false flag. Um, and people say, "Well, what do you mean people died?" Yes, people die in false flags. Absolutely. Look at 9/11. The false flag is the narrative and the agenda behind the scenes of something that is staged. And this was staged absolutely, I believe now, and more will come out. But it doesn't mean people don't die and people don't get shot and maimed, but it's not the way that the press tells you.
No, it's definitely not the way the press tells us whatsoever, my man. It's unbelievable. What's your take on this whole entire loss, this whole Vegas thing, man? It reeks to high heaven.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
many things just don't fit. It makes no sense. There's so many loopholes in the story. It plays too fast and too loose. I mean, the stupid FBI who will take years and years and years and years trying to find something, all of a sudden within like seconds. And this is how you know it's a false flag. These idiots who can't find their elbow who can't even differentiate their elbow from their butthole, all of a sudden,
Another lone gunman that
yeah,
takes his own life so he can't be interviewed and can't give testimony. Yeah, how many times have we seen it now? It's just I don't know, because I got emails from people saying, "Oh, my cousin got injured and was shot in the leg and things like that." I go, people get shot in false flags. That's part of the. It's a psychological thing. And if you heard some of the interviews, like one girl said, there was this woman running up and down in the front row saying, "You're all gonna die tonight. You're all gonna die tonight." What does that do? That sets that perception in your mind that people are gonna die, and they were hiring crisis actors in Vegas 2 weeks before, and then you see these people being interviewed, and they're just horrible actors on NBC and CNN and CBS, and you can tell they're not credible. I can't believe what they're saying because they're like looking down at their notes and they're so meticulous with the information that they tell you, and it's all right there, written on a cheat sheet right in front of them. So,
absolutely, man.
I don't know what really happened. I don't know how many people died. I can guarantee you 600 people didn't get injured because there'd be interviews all over the place with people with holes in them saying, "Oh my God, this is I can't believe I was there, and here's my gunshot wounds. Here's this guy goes, my buddy was shot 3 times in the chest, but luckily I have the same blood type, so he's going to be fine." Like, what?
Right.
Well, what kind of bullet was this guy using to travel that distance?
Supposedly,
if you get shot 3 times in the chest, you are dead.
Yeah, I don't care if it's a 9mm, and most likely this guy using an assault rifle. You could probably bet your bottom dollar it's a 5.56 NATO round. There's no way you're going to get shot 3 times in the chest and survive. You're going to get shot 1 time in the chest with that type of round and survive, period.
And this lady says, "Oh, my husband got grazed by a piece of shrapnel. He picked it up and he said, 'Look, feel it. It's still hot.'" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" These people are insane. So the crisis actors are doing a lousy job. The shooting stuff, it looked like it did happen from the 4th floor. I don't know if they were shooting bullets. I don't know if they're shooting blanks. There's talk that there were people on the ground, active shooters. Nobody knows what's really happening, but what we do know is that the story we're being told is not the real story.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I totally agree with that, my man. It's not the real story whatsoever. And, there's so many holes in it. I mean, how does this guy, suppose there was like 10 long rifles. How's this guy going to come in with 10 long rifles, number one? And number two, how is he going to do that with thousands of rounds of ammunition and walk into a hotel room? Where's security videos? Oh, he videotaped himself shooting out of the window. Okay, let's see it.
Well, I've seen military guys saying, "Hey, I've shot one of those, and within 30 seconds, you are exhausted."
Correct. But this guy could do it. He's a 64-year-old man, out of shape, living in a retirement community. He could do it one extended clip after the other.
Oh, yeah.
No issues.
I mean, everything is backwards and sideways, and that's part of the false flag. They want to throw misleading information everywhere so that nobody knows the real answer, but you get the conspiracy guys leading in different directions. You get those who believe getting mad at the conspiracy people for even mentioning it. I remember after 9/11, you weren't allowed to even say anything like that, and that went on for years. And finally, after a couple of years, all the truth came out, and you got over 1,000 engineers saying these buildings can't collapse at free fall speed. But that doesn't happen for years, and people have forgotten about what happened, and the agenda, the reason for doing it in the first place, is carried forward, and they move on.
Yeah.
And this will be out of the news in 2 weeks, and no one will question it any further.
Yeah, absolutely correct, man. We have a short attention span. I'll be back onto something else. I'll probably be back onto Trump versus the NBA or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Another day of bread and circus, brother.
It is crazy, but we're living in it. I do find it funny that Alex Jones called this one last week. He said they're coming out with some big domestic terrorist attack. Get ready for it. I've been told it's October. Get ready for it. And that's part. I mean, he was probably told by the people carrying it out.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. Spread the fear and get the crazy people saying it's a conspiracy and get everybody frightened and against the gun laws, and everybody's going to run out and get a gun now because every time there's a mass shooting, the gun sales spike through the roof. And is the idea to arm America? Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Get ready for the Civil War.
No, it really is, man. And the next thing is they just discovered that this guy was on some sort of psychotropic drugs. He was prescribed psychotropic drugs that causes a violent outburst. That's the latest that's being said, That's come out.
Well, that's pretty violent outburst.
Oh, it's very violent. It's it's very violent. I mean, it's violent enough to take like 10 assault rifles, go to the 32nd,
go down to the
33rd floor,
be on the 32nd floor, pop that window out, go down the hall, pop that window out, and then go down to the 4th floor and start firing.
Yeah, and just to be clear here, I think one of our listeners made it very clear to me that the 32nd floor is not counting the lobby. If you count the lobby, he was on the 33rd floor.
Ooh, that's Illuminati number.
Yeah, buddy. Had a listener that told me about that in the comment section. I was like, holy crap, he's right. It is the 33rd floor that this guy shot off from.
And did you see the first CBS or NBC or CBS reporter on the scene had a microphone? It was channel 3, and it was one of those microphones with a box on it that had 3 on each side. So basically, you had a 33 staring at you while you're doing the interview.
Jesus. Unreal, man. Unreal. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, man. You really can't.
I know, but that's the matrix we live in, and we go with it, we flow with it, we talk about it, we research it, and there'll be people researching this thing for a couple months, and alternative media will figure out what happened, and then we'll move on.
Absolutely, man. So Catalonia, bro. Catalonia gets a taste of what democracy's like under the EU.
Well, I want to know your take on that, because I haven't been following that much at all, and my son's actually in southern Spain, so I don't think he's in the mix. No, but what's your take on what's going on there?
Well, Catalonia forever has been wanting to break away. They have their own unique language, their own dialect.
They make all the money, don't they?
Yeah, they're the most economically prosperous region in Spain, and they're tired of footing the bill for everybody else. So they're like, you know what, we're done. We're out of here. In fact, Spain fought a civil war. That was the Spanish Civil War, which was the prelude to World War II at that time. King Franco is the one that came in and crushed it. Was a big supporter of Hitler. And so, there's been a lot of violent clashes, a lot of bad blood in Catalonia alongside with the rest of Spain. The funny thing is the EU stepping out and be like, oh, yeah, if you want to leave, well, let's talk about EU membership. It's the funniest thing. So if Catalonia does break away, the best thing they could do is leave not only Spain, but also the EU, and then be a part of what's going on with the larger One Belt, One Road initiative. If they remain or if they do something stupid as, leave Spain per se, and then decide to go on board with, let's say, the European Union, then that's some of the dumbest things you could do, because that's like jumping from the pot and into the fire. So it's very interesting what the situation is.
What I don't understand is, yeah, everybody can jump up and down and say, yeah, we're going to vote for secession, or we're going to vote to leave Spain. But what happens then? They have no currency. They're not in the EU. They have debts denominated in EU. How would that all work? That's why the EU's probably saying, oh, yeah, join the EU. And then we'll just fold all this debt together, and you can be your own richer country, and we'll pretty much forget about Spain, and you guys can help us dig out of the mess we're in. But what if they don't? What happens? What are they going to use for a currency?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And what happens to all the current debt of that area and obligations, and who's going to pay for the government, and how are the taxes going to be collected? I mean, it's just so much more than just, oh, we're gonna walk away. You can't walk away. You're not self-sufficient. You're not self-sustaining.
Yep. It's going to be interesting how this plays out. My take is this, man. I don't think they're going to be allowed to leave. I think they're going to be violently crushed, and they're not going to leave until the point where the EU completely breaks apart. Then Catalonia has an opportunity to get the heck out of Dodge.
Well, the EU plans to break apart in 2018, right? That was the cover of the Economist magazine in 1988.
Yep.
So that was always their plan. Now, whether or not they get their one world government with a one world currency is debatable, but the plan was always to end the old system in 2018.
Yes. Correct.
It should be a really interesting cover of the Economist World in 2018 this year. Although I saw the pre-cover, and it's just a picture of planet Earth, and that's it. And I'm like, what? That can't be the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah, let's just see how things will play out, especially the cover of that Economist magazine will be definitely interesting, and I think you're going to have a lot to talk about. That does
I love analyzing them. But if it is the one I saw, it's just a picture of planet Earth, then I'm like, oh, damn, there better be a lot inside. I like looking at the calendar that's inside the magazine, because the calendar gives away a lot of stuff, and like the bombs that went off in the soccer fields in 2016 was in the calendar before.
Yes, it was.
Oh my God, there's all kinds of stuff all over that calendar.
Oh yeah.
But also, yeah, also the front page, and then who knows what's going to go on this year. But they even wrote in the 2017 version, they wrote about the conspiracy theorists analyzing the covers,
Oh yeah. That's true. That is true.
which
Unreal,
is
man.
good stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Which brings us to Puerto Rico, Borique.
Well,
Where do
there
we
we
go
have.
from there?
There's another situation. I mean, Trump said the bonds. We're gonna have to get rid of the bonds. So what does that mean? All the pensions that own Puerto Rico debt are now shit out of luck, and they're already hurting. And all the Wall Street guys are shit out of luck. That's 74 billion in bonds that are poof gone. Now they were already in bankruptcy, but they were trying to restructure. But let's think about this. Puerto Rico was pretty much destroyed. There's no tax basis anymore. They can't rebuild. How are they going to rebuild?
I don't know.
They got nothing. They got literally everything was destroyed. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen down there. I mean, it's an island too. It's like, what are you going to do? Yeah, they're trying to blame CNN and friends are trying to blame Trump for it, and I'm like, you blame Trump for a hurricane hitting your island?
Yeah. Well, it's part of Trump derangement syndrome. So,
Well, was it the San Juan governor
oh,
said,
what a nut
or
job that
mayor?
woman. Yeah.
Well, she's apparently running for president. That's why she did it. To get get
Oh,
the
she's running for
leftist
governor.
side. Either rather than running for governor, is it governor or president?
Governor. There's no
Governor.
president's governor. Yeah.
Yeah, she's running for governor. So that's why she did it. And
What a
she was
nut job.
advised to do it supposedly.
Yeah, because she got a phone call from the heckling hen named Hillary Clinton and the
Probably.
gaggle and cadre of witches that served with her, and said, "Hey, here's the deal. You're going to go ahead and you're going to poo-poo Trump, or we're going to poo-poo you.
Yeah,
Literally convert you into poo-poo."
it's
So she,
crazy. It's
yeah, she got
crazy.
the message then.
So yeah, the Matrix goes on, and we live in the strange and crazy world.
Man, we live in a very, very nutty world indeed. Which brings us to the woo that is Clif's new report, man. The wait is almost over.
The way this,
Tell me.
the Cliff's new report is called Sparks, and it's
It's
a
called what?
crypto report. It's called Sparks,
Sparks.
as in there's a lot of dry embers, and a spark will ignite the whole thing. Um, awesome report. I've listened to it twice. I download it on I have a reader app that I listen to it, because you gotta read Cliff's reports like 10 times to get the real juicy nuggets out of there. But it goes through the timing of when the cryptos are going to start taking off again on the next crocodile tooth. And one thing that I've been thinking about in the cryptos a lot is the difference between the ICOs and these companies that are already ICO'd. They're out there trying to produce a product, and some of these companies are getting real close to delivering of that product. Some already are delivering. So my take is, with all the controversy around the ICOs and people wanting to make a quick buck as soon as they get their, tokens they want to sell. So some of the ICOs, a lot of the ICOs are going below their initial offering cost because people are just trying to flip it into the next ICO. Those days are gone. That would happen in the beginning, and those days are gone. Now I'm looking at throwing everything into the companies that I think will be the most meaningful in the future, and the most profitable, and the most necessary. And Cliff goes through all the cryptocurrencies, not all of them, but a lot of cryptocurrencies and a lot of these company tokens. And I think he has some very surprising news for some people who have bought into some tokens and they aren't really moving up. They're just kind of hanging out. But the idea was always great, and they're very close to coming up with the product. And I mean, that's why you invest in these ICOs is there's a reason behind it, and there's a product that's being produced and will be rolled out to the public very soon. I mean, Veritasium was a great example. The Jamaican Stock Exchange deal should be announced any day, and the share price is pretty low, if you ask me. I mean, low comparatively. It went up to like $300, and now it's not share but token price. Now it's at like $70. So it's to me that's a screaming buy.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, but it's a it's a 6 month to 5 year type of thing. I see Veritasium is taking over for like Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan and running that show and introducing and injecting truth and honesty into the exchanges. That's the type of thing. That's a monster.
Right.
If they can do that, that fixes a huge problem.
Right.
And I think he can do it. I think he's got obviously it's a very small startup right now, but when you get a couple of these big exchanges saying, "Oh my God, we need to do this," it's going to be gigantic.
Oh, it's gonna be monstrous, man. I mean, which brings us to salt lending, bro. I mean, that's what's going on with that. And before we get to salt, I'm having my eyes keen on Monero, man. There's some real support that Monero is starting to get in terms of its. I think it's reached its support bracket, and I think there's going to be a serious upturn in the price of Monero. I think Veritasium is starting to feel the same way. I think we're going to get ready for another run up.
Well, I think they're two different things. I mean, Monero is a cryptocurrency, and Veritasium is a token
Correct.
based in that ecosystem. For Monero, it's all about security and anonymity,
Privacy. Yeah.
privacy. Yeah. I don't own any of that, and if I did own any, I wouldn't tell you because it's a privacy coin. But yeah, I heard people love it, and so yeah, I think a few of the cryptocurrencies will survive, but a lot will go away, obviously, as they should. Just because you can invent a blockchain doesn't mean you're going to have a coin that is useful for anything. And it's a process. I think the ones that are kind of hanging out on the sidelines and have really weathered the storm so far are going to do well. For salt lending, they just released their tokens, so there's a whole bunch of tokens out there that people want to get rich off of, and their product hasn't come to market yet. It doesn't come to market to the end of the year, so you're looking at very volatile prices. Right before the ICO, it wasn't an ICO; it was a membership sale. They had gone from like $1.50 to $3 to $5 to $7.50 to 10, and they were going to stop at 10, and then it went to. Then they put out I think 25, 2.5 million or something at 12.50, and then they've been just going up. I think it's 2.5 million they put out at $2.50 increments. So right before the release of the tokens, it went up from 12.50 to 15 to 17.50 to I think it's at 25 right now. But that's the retail price of the tokens. The retail price will always stay above the exchange price.
Right.
Because because of the arbitrage.
Right.
So as people use the product, they're going to be redeeming tokens with salt. So salt will be it's one of those things where the amount of tokens will shrink over time because people will use them to get crypto-backed loans. And I'm really excited about that one. And they've had to do a lot of things to stay under the radar because of the SEC requirements, because they're dealing with the banks. You're going to have to give, all your information to Salt. And just like you do with a bank, they have a know your customer law and all that. But they're doing everything right. And they haven't really promoted it at all. And I think the big promotion push will come as they're ready to release the product to the market, which is supposed to be November, December, last I heard. And then it's going to go gangbusters. So yeah, I've been accumulating salt since day one, and I like what they're doing. I love the product because it is the bridge between the old system and the new system, because you can get crypto backed loans without their collateral loans. They're non-recourse loans, meaning that the bank count if you don't pay it off, and they call it the Oracle, is the software that would, as your balance gets, if it's over collateralized, you can borrow some more. If it's under collateralized, they're going to sell out some of your collateral to cover that balance. So it's kind of automatic. You're going to pay your loan back one way or the other, but it's non-recourse. So even if you walked away on day one, the bank would the Oracle, the smart contract would automatically like liquidate your account and pay off your loan.
Wow.
At some point, or it keeps bringing it down to a lower collateral coverage balance.
Right.
So it's but they can never go after you for the money that you borrowed because it's a non-recourse loan. It's based on the collateral, and that's all. It's not, something where they can garnish your wages and all that. But in the same breath, as we think that cryptos will go up, you keep the appreciation of your crypto that is being held as collateral. That's still your property. So you could, put in $10,000 in Bitcoin and get an $8,000 loan, and Bitcoin doubles, and all of a sudden, you have $20,000 there. You can just pay off your $8,000 loan and move on. And it turned out to be a great move. It can work the opposite way on you too. The price of Bitcoin could go down, and you'll have to start paying off, selling off collateral. But when you sell off collateral, the big thing is the tax advantages. When you use it as a piece of collateral, you don't pay capital gains tax because you don't have to sell it. But if they take your collateral to pay off a shortfall of your coverage, then that is a taxable event, and you would have to pay taxes on that.
Got it. It's revolutionary, man. It's really going to change.
It's cool, and they put a lot of work in it and a lot of thought into it, and I think it will be easy for people to understand, whereas a lot of these other cryptos are not easy to understand. Right. Exactly why technologically you need to do this, that, and the other with these new companies and these new tokens. This is a banking function. This is something that people do already. They get it. They kind of like the fact that they don't have to put their credit at risk. It doesn't go on your credit report. Not that anybody cares about credit reports anymore after the Equifax screw up, but it is. But it's something that people understand,
right?
And it will free up. A couple things to think about also is with the volatility of the cryptos, the collateral gets locked up. You can't pull it out until you pay off your loan. So it's one of those things where you can't panic either. You can't sell off your cryptos, and that one of the downfalls, if you still have good collateral coverage, because it's locked up into a smart contract already. So it might take some of the volatility out. And a lot of the early investors in the Bitcoin and different cryptos have a lot of capital just tied up, sitting there doing nothing, whereas normally they could get loans on it and leverage it and things like that, but there hasn't been an avenue, and this is the first avenue, so it's real exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, man.
The question is, what price should it be? I mean, right now a retail SALT token membership is $25, but it's trading on the exchanges at like $5, between $5 and $10, or $4 and $10. And I think that'll change as all these, all the ICO investors kind of get weeded out. The big money wants into this, and the people who want to use the product want into it. So I did read somewhere where you're gonna be able to use SALT as coverage, as your collateral. That's SALT awesome. Tokens. But yeah. I'm not sure on that because I was reading anything that was covered in Shapeshift can be used. And Shapeshift is Eric Voorhees' company, and Eric Voorhees is on the board of SALT. So that adds a lot. In my book, that added tons of credibility to SALT, because Eric's a brilliant guy and doing the right thing when it comes to the cryptos, and he's danced around all the regulators before, and I'm real excited about it, as you can tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's revolutionary. It really does change and turn banking on its head. I think it's a wonderful concept, man. I love it. And this is what we talk about, disruptive technologies. SALT is exactly the type of system that is disruptive, and I love it.
And people were saying, well, how big can it really be? Because the cryptos, it's only $150 billion of the cryptos out there. I'm like, no. The whole world is going to tokenize.
Yeah.
The whole world, as the old banking system crumbles, the whole world is going to tokenize, and literally you can tokenize any financial instrument, and there's quadrillions in financial instruments. So yeah, and ultimately you could probably use any at least fairly stable token as your collateral. And I think that's what they were alluding to when they were talking about, well, we'll probably use the shapeshift coins, tokens and coins as our collateral base because, I mean, and that covers a lot. Shapeshift has a lot of coins that they deal with.
Yeah, it really does, man. We are heading for a tokenized world, and once it becomes tokenized, it's all going to be put on the ACC chain. And,
oh my God! Did you see that Christine Lagarde came out and said,
yep.
you know, we got to get in. You know, cryptos are taking over the world, and we have to be ready for this.
Yeah.
I could just see Lynette Zhang drooling in her little cubby hole down in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
AC chain, AC chain.
It's ACC chain.
They're gonna take over the world. Oh my God!
I just can't.
It's crazy. And people are asking me, well, why does she hold up pieces of paper for the graphs? I think it's because
so what? I can hold up stupid pieces of paper too.
She did. I don't think she knew how to use the computer function to record. So I think she had to print out the paper and hold it up, and say, "See what's happening."
You see what happened?
Okay, no more teasing. I promise my people I'd be nice.
Moving on.
But no.
Anyway,
yeah.
What else is on your radar, brother?
What else is on the radar? I need a vacation.
Yeah, you and me both. Why don't you come up to New York, man? We'll go hang. I'll fatten you up. I'll give you some dirty tots and some beer.
I think my next big vacation. Well, I'm speaking at Anarchapulco again this year. So going down with Jeff Berwick in February to Anarchapulco.
Rogue might make an appearance this year.
I hear that.
How the Rogue budgets are. I think we could probably do it, bro. I think it'll be massive.
Get out there, definitely. It's a great time. I know Will and Gus from Perpetual Assets are going.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of people are gonna be down there. And you walk around, it's like, oh, I know you. I've seen your video, and it's an amazing event that Jeff throws because it brings in a little bit of everybody and all kind of anarchist type people. G. Edward Griffith was there.
Oh, wow.
And you can't really call him an anarchist. He's a nice old man with a bow tie, but yeah, it's a blast. And then obviously you're in Acapulco, and you got sun, you got mariachi bands, and you got tequila, and what can go wrong with that, right?
Nothing whatsoever. Sun, surf, and alcohol. Nothing bad ever happens with that. Except Bix Weir threatening certain guys in a bar.
It was just tone based.
Sure.
Tone based. Somebody had talked to me about Tone Base's little buddy, Adam Meister. You ever see that guy? He's a crypto commentator on YouTube.
No.
And he's just an annoying guy. And I'm like, oh yeah, those two and Andy Hoffman are all in a cult now. They're in their little Bitcoin crypto cult.
What is their Bitcoin crypto cult about?
They believe that their thesis is that only Bitcoin should be used and traded and used as money. There should be no tokens. They hate Ethereum. They hate everything on Ethereum. And obviously they've lost, millions of dollars.
Yeah. You know what I realized? I realized people who are married to Dogma usually wind up broke.
Well, yeah, look at Chris Duane. He's married to the Silver Dogma. The guy said it right away. As soon as I saw this, I knew that it was the cryptos were bad. And he never did any research, never did any homework, couldn't break out, and where's he today?
Yeah. Folks, look,
right, that's enough bashing.
No, all I gotta say is just, people need to stay fast and fluid and be up to date on information and be pragmatic, man. Don't be freaking married to a paradigm. For the love of God, you never wind up with anything that there's. It's what separates wealthy people from broke people. It's what separates exceptional people from mediocre people. It's what separates those who are on the head of a trend versus those who are always playing catch up. And you see it, man. The guys who are always married to paradigms are always playing catch up.
Yeah. I would like to say though, those long suffering from the silver doldrums, I believe those are ending very soon. Not in like a matter of days or weeks, but as in a matter of probably at the beginning of the new year is my guess.
Yeah.
And when it does break free, everybody's like, oh yeah, I'll finally be rich. Well, no, there will be no exchanges open. That's the problem. We're going to have to invent a crypto silver exchange to figure out what the price of silver is really. because the comics and the LBMA are criminal enterprises. When they close down, there is no exchange for silver.
Right. Exactly correct, my man. Exactly correct. With that being said, my man, we are at the end. Excuse me, this weird cough. We are at the end of the broadcast. Bix, give out your shout outs and how we go and how people can follow you.
You can find me on YouTube at Road to Ruta, or go to roadtoruta.com and sign up. It's a free email service, and then there's a paid service also if you get into it. And it's a lot of fun on the Road to Ruta these days. A lot of things happening.
Absolutely. With that being said, guys, you can follow us on @TheRogueMoney. Check us out, roguemoney.net. And we are over and out. Take it away, CJ.